Hello viewers, in this episode I am going to explain inscriptions of multiple languages. It has 5 segments and they are Introduction to Indian Epigraphy, the language of inscriptions, development of scripts in North India, development of scripts in South India, and lastly conclusion. Introduction to Indian Epigraphy. Epigraphy is a source for constructing the political and cultural history of ancient India. Generally, any historical information is acknowledged as true blue when it is substantiated by an epigraphical record. So too in the study of the history of literature and language. Epigraphy has a vital role to play. To go over the inscriptional data with respect to any discipline, a rudimentary knowledge of epigraphy is prerequisite. So, this chapter concerns itself with some of the fundamental features of epigraphy. What is an inscription? The word epigraphy is derived from two Greek words, namely epi, which means on or upon, and graphy, meaning to write. Basing on this, epigraphy may be defined as any descriptive and analytical study of the epigraphs. The word inscription is also most commonly used as a synonyms with epigraph. This word has been derived from a Latin word inscriber, which also gives the meaning to write upon. According to Dr. D.C. Sarkar, inscription literally means only writing engraved on some object. The Encyclopedia Britannica states that inscriptions are the documents incised on some odd permanent material in the form of letters or other conventional signs for the purpose of conveying some information or preserving record. Therefore, to be distinguished on the one hand from manuscripts or documents written on papyrus, parchment, paper, or other more or less smoother surfaces by means of a brush, reed, or pen, and some colored flint. J.F. Fleet has tried to present a summed up description of inscription like this. The inscription are notifications, very frequently of an official character and generally more or less of a public nature, which recite facts, simple or complex, with or without dates, and were intended to be lasting records of the matters to which they refer. In India, rocks as well as lithic, metallic, earthen, tablets, plates, and pots, as also bricks, ivory, plaque, and other objects were generally used for incising inscriptions. Often writing in relief, such as the legends on coins and seals, which are usually produced out of molds or dies, and also records pointed on cave walls or written in ink on wooden tablets are also regarded as inscriptions. Although these writings are not actually engraved, inscriptions may greatly vary in point of length. Sometimes on epigraphs contain only a mark or one single word or expression indicating the name of an individual. After considering all these definitions and descriptions above, two important characteristics of inscriptions become palpable. One is inscriptions are engraved or written on hard, unyielding and long-lasting materials, but not on delicate paper-like materials. Secondly, they are pretty nearly official, trite and meant for public observation. The language of the inscriptions. Although Sanskrit is the oldest language in India as furnished by the Vedic literature, the language of the earliest written records, that is the Ashokan edicts, is Prakrit. As seen before, since the Sindhu Valley script or Harappan script has not yet been successfully deciphered, it has not been possible to decide about the language of this script in spite of the persistence of various views of different scholars. Besides, Prakrit, Ashokan edicts are written in Greek and Aramaic languages also. One edict written entirely in Greek script and languages, and another edict written in Greek and Arabic script and languages are found in Sikandar and Afghanistan, while a record in Aramaic script and language found in Taxila, now in Pakistan, is attributed to Ashoka. All the edicts of Ashoka in Brahmi and Kharoshthi scripts are written in the Prakrit language. Thus, originally the epigraphical language of India can be said to be Prakrit. Sanskrit was used in inscriptions only at a later period. After the period of Ashoka, the use of the Prakrit language continued in the inscriptions for a few more centuries. In North India, Prakrit was replaced by Sanskrit at the close of the 3rd century AD, while it happened about a century later in South India. But even before this period, some of the inscriptions, though written in Prakrit language, were influenced by Sanskrit, while some records were entirely couched in Sanskrit. The epigraphs of the Kushana kings are found in a mixture of Prakrit and Sanskrit, while the Mathura inscription of the time of Shaka Shodasa, belonging to the first quarter of the 1st century AD, contain verses in classical Sanskrit. In the metres like Shardula Vikridita, even earlier than this, the Besnagar in Madhya Pradesh, Garuda pillar inscription of Heliodorus, who was an ambassador from the Indo-Greek king Antiochus at the court of King Bhagabhadra of Vidisha, belonging to the end of the 2nd century BC, though written in Prakrit language, exhibits some influence of Sanskrit. And the Goshundi stone inscription from Rajasthan, belonging to the later half of the 1st century BC and of the time of King Sarvatala, are couched in Sanskrit language. The Junagadh in Gujarat inscription of Shaka king Rudradaman and dated in 150 AD is one of the earliest prose epigraph written in beautiful Sanskrit prose in the Kavya style. From the eastern part comes the Ayodhya inscription of Dhanadeva, later half of the 1st century BC, which is written in Sanskrit, slightly influenced by Prakrit. Inscriptions of a little later period, 1st century to 3rd century AD, like the Kailavan Bihar state inscription, the inscription of Kaushambi and Bandargad records are written in Sanskrit, slightly influenced by Prakrit. Though the later inscriptions of Bandargad are entirely in Sanskrit from the 4th century onwards. The Guptas came to power at Pataliputra and they were great patrons of Sanskrit language and literature, and hence Sanskrit became the language of the inscriptions. In South India, Prakrit was used in the inscriptions till the 4th century AD, though in a few records of the Ikshwakus of Nagarjunakonda, Sanskrit is employed. The inscription of Yagna Shatakarni, 2nd century AD, from Amaravati is considered to be the earliest Sanskrit inscription from Andhra Pradesh discovered so far. The earlier inscriptions, 4th century AD, of the Salankayana of the Telugu region are in Prakrit, while their later records belonging to the 5th century AD are written in Sanskrit. In Kannada speaking area, the Chandravalli inscription of Mayura Sharma, who is regarded as the founder of the Kadamba dynasty, is written in Prakrit language and is assigned to the 4th century AD. But all the later inscriptions of this dynasty are in Sanskrit language only. The early copperplate inscriptions of the Pallavas of Kanchi belonging to the 4th century AD are written in Prakrit language, and hence they are known as the Pallavas of the Prakrit characters as against the Pallavas of the Sanskrit characters of a later period, 5th to 8th century AD. This Prakrit is of a literary style. Thus, in the inscriptions of South India, Prakrit prevailed up to the 4th century AD or so, when it was replaced by Sanskrit. In the cave inscriptions of Tamil Nadu, the language of the southern Brahmi inscriptions, varying in dates from about 2nd century BC to about 2nd or 3rd century AD, is said to be early Tamil, but there is no unanimity in this regard. Though more cave inscriptions in Tamil Nadu have been discovered during the last 60 years, they have not been successfully deciphered and interpreted so far. As stated above, Prakrit was the language of the earlier inscriptions, that is, those of Ashoka, throughout the country and also for some time after the period of Ashoka, and Sanskrit replaced Prakrit in the inscriptions by about the end of the 3rd century AD in North India and by about the 4th century AD in South India. During this intervening period, some records are seen written in Prakrit influenced by Sanskrit in the earlier period, and some written in Sanskrit influenced by Prakrit in the later period, and in exceptional cases, some later inscriptions like the Gatyala inscription of Pratihara Kakkuka dated 862 AD is written in Prakrit language. The Dar in Madhya Pradesh inscription of the time of Bhoja circa 1000 to 1055 AD contains the text of the Prakrit poem Kurma Sataka ascribed to Bhoja. Some of the early inscriptions which are couched in Sanskrit, though sometimes with slight influence of Prakrit are the Mathura inscription of Shaka king Sodasa from the north, the Gosundi record of Sarvatata from western India, the Ayodhya inscription of Dhanadeva from eastern India, and from the south, the Nagarjunakonda inscription of Ikshwaku king Yehuwala Santamula. These records range in date from the second half of the 1st century BC to the end of the 3rd century AD. But as already pointed out, the Junagadh inscription of Rudradaman dated 150 AD is composed in elegant Sanskrit prose of Kavya style. From the 4th century onwards, with the rise of Guptas, Sanskrit became the predominant language of Indian epigraphs. It was adopted as the court language by the rulers of this dynasty, and some of them, like Samudragupta, have been stated to be proficient in Sanskrit language. It has been presumed that the celebrated Sanskrit poet Kalidasa flourished during the Gupta period. The contemporary rulers of Guptas in central India and parts of the Deccan, like the Vakatakas, the Kadambas, and the Gangas of Karnataka, and the Pallavas of Kanchi, also employed Sanskrit as the court language as found in their inscriptions. Though the earlier records of the Salankayanas of Andhra region are in the Prakrit language, the later records of them are written in Sanskrit language. Thus, Sanskrit became the epigraphical language of the country from the 4th century onwards. The Talagunda pillar inscription of the time of Kadamba king Shantivarma, composed by poet Kubja, and Aivade inscription of Badami Chalukya king Pulikeshi II, composed by the poet Ravikirti, are the specimens of classical Sanskrit found in early inscriptions of Karnataka. Sanskrit continued to be the language of inscriptions of all parts of India till late medieval period. Meanwhile, the regional languages also began to be used in the inscriptions. It has been already noted that the languages of the cave inscriptions found in Tamil Nadu is presumed to be an early form of Tamil language, and as such is the earliest Dravidian language to be used in the inscriptions. At a later period, the copperplate characters of the Pallavas, the Cholas, and the Pandyas are written in both Sanskrit and Tamil languages. Though some of the Pallava grands like Unna Guruvayurappa temple plates of Parameshwaravarman, 1st 7th century AD, and Rajuru plates of Narasimhavarman II, 8th century AD, are written entirely in Sanskrit. The larger Leiden plates of the Chola king Rajaraja I, 10th to 11th century AD, are written partly in Sanskrit and partly in Tamil, while the similar Leiden plates of Kulottunga, 1st from 11th 12th century AD, are written entirely in Tamil language, while early Pandya inscriptions are written partly in Sanskrit and partly in Tamil languages. The later records of the dynasty are written only in Tamil language. Next to Tamil, Kannada is to be found used in the inscriptions from about the 5th century AD onwards. The Halmidi inscription and the Vaishnava cave inscription at Badami are considered to be the earliest inscriptions written in Kannada language. All the copperplate grands of the Chalukyas of Badami are written in Sanskrit language, but in stone inscriptions, the later portion containing the details of grant is written in Kannada language, similar is Karnataka, that is the Rashtrakuta, with a few exceptions. The British Museum plates of the Rashtrakuta king Govinda III, dated Shaka 726, that is 804 AD, is written in Kannada language. For a long time, this inscription was considered as the earliest copper plate grant in Kannada language, but recently another copper plate grant belonging to the Alupa king Aluvarsa II has been discovered at Belmannu in Udupi district. Though it is not dated, it is assigned to the 8th century AD on paleographical grounds, and thus it becomes the earliest copper plate inscription in Kannada language discovered so far. There are many inscriptions which are written partly in Sanskrit and partly in Kannada, and even in the records which are composed in Kannada language only, the invocatory of the benedictory verses at the beginning and the imprecatory verses at the end are in Sanskrit language. It is also interesting to note that the Kurkyala in Andhra Pradesh inscription of Jinavallabha, brother of famous Kannada poet Pampa, is written in 3 languages, namely Sanskrit, Kannada and Telugu. Telugu language is used in inscriptions from 6th century AD onwards, while some Telugu place names are mentioned in earlier records. The Kalamalla inscription of Yerikala Mutturaja Dhananjaya, assigned to the last quarter of the 5th century AD, is considered to be the earliest record completely written in Telugu. It is only from the 15th century onwards that Malayalam language appears in the inscriptions, although in an earlier Tamil inscription of the 13th century AD, Malayalam influence is noticed. The Attingal inscription of 1452 AD and the Tonnal inscription of 1457 AD are written in Malayalam language. The Marathi language is found used in early records of the 11th century AD, and the earliest epigraph in which this language is used in the Dive Agar copper plate inscription dated Shaka 982, that is 1060 AD. Marathi language became popular in the inscriptions of the Shilaharas and the Yadavas of Devagiri in the Marathi speaking area. The use of Hindi language in the epigraphs is traced to 11th century AD on the basis of a Jaina image inscription found at Shoyapur in Madhya Pradesh, but most of the other Hindi records, which also come from Madhya Pradesh region, belong to the medieval period of 15th or 16th century AD only. The Gujarati language is used in inscriptions of the 15th century AD, hailing from Katewar region, while a few inscriptions of earlier date from the same area are written in Sanskrit and Gujarati. The Bengali language also appears in the inscriptions of Eastern India from about 15th century AD only. During the last medieval period, the copper plate of Tripura king Govinda Manikya, 15th century AD, are mainly written in Bengali language. The Buse of Oriya language in the inscription started from the 13th century AD, though the influence of the language in records written in Sanskrit language appears as early as 10th century AD. Some copper plate grants are partly in Sanskrit and partly in Oriya language, while Veligalani grant of the Gajapati king Kapileshwara, 15th century AD, is written in 3 languages, namely Oriya, Sanskrit and Telugu. Although a gradual development of regional languages in the inscriptions has made its appearance from about the 5th or 6th century AD, the position of Sanskrit was not undermined. Sanskrit had enjoyed the role of being the national language as against the local languages. Sanskrit came to be used in inscriptions to communicate to the wider community of people who would not understand the local language. Development of scripts in North India. In the North India, the Brahmi script was over a vast area and which first appeared in the edicts of Ashoka in 3rd century BC. Besides Brahmi, Ashoka's edicts are found in Kharosthi, Aramaic and Greek scripts. At the advent of the Shaka Kshatrapas and the Kushanas as political powers in North India, the writing system assumed a definite change owing to the use of new writing tools and techniques. Further, a perceivable change in it can be discerned during the Gupta period. The Gupta script is considered to be the successor of the Kushana script in North India. This is also called as Gupta Brahmi script. From the 6th to about 10th century AD, the inscriptions are written in a script called Siddhamatrika. This script from 8th century onwards developed into Sharada script in Kashmir, into Pro-Bengali or Gaudi in Bengal region and into Nagari in other parts of North India. In central India, that is in Madhya Pradesh, the inscriptions of the Vakatakas, Sharaba, Puriyas and Kosalas were written in what are known as box-headed characters, and in the inscriptions of Shatavahanas and Chutus, Nile-headed characters are used. Development of South Indian scripts. The early inscriptions of South India, that is the Ashokan edicts, Shatavahana and Chutu inscriptions are written in Brahmi script only. But from 7th century AD onwards, we get a number of inscriptions in Tamil Nadu belonging to the Pallava, the Chola and the Pandyas, which are written in 3 different scripts called Tamil, Vatteluttu and Grantha script. The early form of the Kannada Telugu script is found in the inscriptions of the early Kadambas, the Chalukyas of Badami, the Salankayanas and the early Eastern Chalukyas, who ruled the Kannada and Telugu speaking area during 4th to 7th century AD. From 13th century onwards, the Kannada and Telugu scripts bifurcated. Inscriptions are available not only in our vast subcontinent but also in countries like Sri Lanka, Burma, Thailand, Borneo, Nepal, Java, Sumatra, Afghanistan and Pakistan. It is interesting to note that the scripts used in the inscriptions found in these countries were evolved from the Brahmi script. Nature. An epigraphical study is primarily a study related with the letters and words. The nature of the subject is more literary and speaks about rites and conditions of the days when it was written. Epigraphy embraces 3 distinctive stages of study. The first stage is taking the copy of the inscription, and this is generally called as taking a stamp pages. The second stage is identifying the meticulously and reading the literary text. This stage is technically called as deciphering. The third stage is applying the literary data for writing of history, and this stage is called as analysis and interpretation. After deciphering an inscription, applying it to write the history of various respects is where the rubber meets the road. Scope. In India, there is a lot of scope for epigraphy or study of inscriptions strewn over the whole of the country and extended over the centuries. We know that the earliest writing in India belongs to the greatest civilization that existed in this part of the continent, the Sindhu Valley civilization. But yet it has not been successfully deciphered, and final conclusions about this are yet to be arrived at. Leaving aside this, we began to get a completely developed and decipherable scripts, that is Brahmi, from the period of the great Mauryan emperor Devanampriya Priyadarshini Ashoka, who can be credited with the forerunnership of a new tradition of writing inscriptions. The scope of epigraphical study is limited to the so-called ancient and medieval period in history. It starts from the 3rd century BC, when the inscriptions first appeared in India, and chronologically at the most it can be extended up to the end of the 17th century AD in the context of India. The fortunes in the history have changed after the European intervention. With the advanced discoveries in the field of printing, the generation said aid to epigraphs. Hence, the pre-European period can be taken for epigraphical studies.